Okay, now what we want to do is look at an example of subtracting mixed numbers. So we have 3 and 2/7, and we want to subtract 1 and 4/5. Now, just like with adding mixed numbers, we need to make sure we have that common denominator. Okay, so we can list out multiples of 5 and 7. Okay, that's fairly easy to do. The multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Multiples of 7 are 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. And there we see that the first number we see in common is 35. So we need to rewrite both these fractions, these mixed numbers, with denominators of 35. So 3 and 2/7 is going to become 3 and some fraction with a denominator of 35. 1 and 4/5 will become 1 and some fraction with a denominator of 35. So now I have to ask myself, okay, how did I go from 7 to 35? Well, that's easy. I multiplied times 5. 7 times 5 gives me 35. So whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do the numerator. Since I multiply denominator by 5, I have to multiply numerator by 5. 2 times 5 gives me 10. Same thing down here. To go from 5 to 35, I multiply denominator by 7. So I need to multiply numerator by 7. 4 times 7 gives me 28. Now that I have that common denominator, I can go ahead and subtract. We have an interesting situation here because if I try and take away 28/35 away from 10/35, that's going to give me a little bit of trouble. Well, just like regular subtraction, we can do a process called grouping, or sometimes we call it regrouping, or sometimes we call it borrowing. So this whole concept of regrouping means that I have to take from another place value and give to the place value that needs it. In this case, this over here, this 10 needs more to be able to take away a greater number like 28. So I have to borrow, or I have to regroup from this 3. So if I take 1 away from this 3, it leaves me with 2. But now I have this 1 whole that I took away from the 3, and I have to figure out, well, how am I going to give it to this over here? I can't just add 1 to the 10 and give me 11, because then I'm still going to be in the same situation. I'm going to be subtracting 11 minus 28 instead of 10 minus 28, and that's not going to help my situation. So what I need to do is I need to think, well, if I'm trying to subtract 35ths, then I need to figure out, well, how can I convert this 1 into something that looks like a fraction with a denominator of 35? Well, from what we know about basic numbers, anything over itself equals 1. So 35 over 35 equals 1. And now that I have this 1 broken up into 35 pieces, I can now give it to the 10/35. So if I add 35/35 to 10/35, that gives me a total of 45/35. And now I can subtract 45/35 minus 28/35. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 45/35 minus 28/35 is going to give me, well, let's see, I have to borrow from there. This will make it 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. And 3 minus 2 is 1. And my denominator will still be 35. Now I need to take care of the whole numbers. I've got 2 minus 1, and that leaves me with 1. This 17 over 35 cannot be simplified, so 1 and 17/35 is my answer.